Hi, and welcome to CMPP's Speakers for Schools programme. My name's Rachel, and today I'm going to be talking to Karla Sloyan. Now, Karla is an events and experience marketing manager for a global food and beverage company called Asahi. And she's going to tell us how she got to that position today and what she actually does. So, morning, Karla.
Hello, how are you? Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, Karla, tell us what it is then you do for a job. So what does an events and experience marketing manager do?
Well, it's a bit broad sometimes, but mainly we look after all events and experience, as I said, for Asahi UK. So it would be from, festivals we're doing. So it might be music festivals, food festivals, or down to different pop-ups we do as well, different experience. But also I also look after parts of direct consumer sites. So I'm sure most of you would have heard of the likes of Deliveroo. So how we might support Deliveroo with our products. And we have our own direct consumer e-commerce site as well. So it's everything and anything in between. If some of our customers want to do an event and doing a pop-up, or if we want to do an internal event as well to customers, and we look after all that, myself and my team.
Brilliant. So do you manage a team of people as well then?
Yeah. So there's 4 of us. So me, and I manage a team of 3 others as well. So yeah, it's busy. We're all very busy all of the time, and we all kind of have different roles involved in different things. So, but yeah, it's very good. There's a lot of us.
Must be quite exciting as well to get involved in sort of the festivals and things like that.
It is. It's one thing I absolutely love about this role. It's like you're building up and you're working really hard to build up to a big event or a big festival, but then you really get to see it come to life.
Yeah.
So you get to see all of your work come to life, and people really enjoy it. Everyone loves an event, especially now, people are dying to go back to them. So like bringing that back and like seeing it come to life is something, it's really fulfilling.
And do you get to go along to any of these events that you organise as well, or?
We do, yes, we do. Now we do tend to be working a little bit at them, so it's not all fun and games at the events and festivals. But yeah, we definitely get to go along. Some of the busiest days is the lead up, the first couple of days lead up to it, and then obviously the day of, you'll be running around like a mad person, making sure it's all happening, it's all go. But then you also do get to enjoy parts of it as well, whether it's a music festival or something like that, or food festival. You definitely get to go out and enjoy it. With friends and colleagues.
What's the biggest one you've worked on?
So probably in this role at the moment, we're actually one of the bigger ones that we're working on, which will be for next year, is British Summertime in Hyde Park. So that is a huge festival. It's usually around 10 days that covers it in Hyde Park. So it's going to be massive. It gets about 500,000 people to it over the 10 days. So you can imagine how busy that is.
Wow.
And then in a previous role as well, I used to work over in Australia, and it was for one of the biggest kind of daytime festivals in the Southern Hemisphere. So they used to get up to about 900,000 people to it over a 14-day period. So that was hectic, to say the least. It's called the Sydney Royal Easter Show. So it was like a daytime and nighttime event that used to happen.
Wow, must be so exciting and so much fun to be involved in that, and to get to go to these as well.
Definitely fun. But you can imagine, I think the one thing I always say about my role, when you have a date of an event, that date's never changing. So it's not like you can push back projects or delay them and things like that. Once it's decided an event's happening a certain date, you just have to, things can go wrong, they always do, things change, they always do. COVID's definitely had implications on some of the things, so they've changed the virtual even. But these things happen, but that date, that event is happening no matter what. So it's definitely all systems go.
Yeah, the pressure and stress building up to it, I suppose. After it's done, I bet you're like,
oh yes. Until the next one.
Yeah. And so how did you get to the position you are today? From leaving school, was it something you were always interested in?
I don't think it was, my number one. Obviously when you're leaving school, you're 17, 18, you're not fully sure. So I went to university in Dublin, and I did a degree in communications. So that covered, I suppose, bits of marketing, bits of events, public relations, also some video production. So it was quite broad, what I did. And I initially then, so it was a really good course though, finished that. And I initially went to work in a public relations firm. So they used to do kind of events and public relations as well. I think the one thing is when you're leaving school, and the age-old thing is a lot of people are looking for experience, but you're only leaving university at the time. So I just began as a receptionist in that firm, which I think is something many people have to do. Get your foot in the door in firms that you want to work in or places that you're interested in. So I started that, and then obviously moved up to work as a PR executive and did bits of events there. And I found that the events part of the job was the bit I really, really enjoyed, more so than some of the public relations parts. So yeah, I continued my career. I actually went traveling to what was going to be a 1 year, traveling to see the world and go over to Australia, which turned to 8 years over there, which was a surprise to my parents, I think. But I think what happened over there is, as I said, I did a few different roles over there, because as you do when you're traveling, and a few different event roles, and it was something I really enjoyed. And then I started working for another a not-for-profit company over there, and I stayed there for 5 years. I think I was nearly 6 years there, and they used to host some of the biggest events in Sydney. And I think that's where I just really loved it. And I kept, I tried a few other things. I went into advertising a little bit, but the events and the experience and bringing that event to life was something I just really enjoyed. And then I traveled back over this side of the world a few years ago, and started working with Asahi, as you said. So yeah.
Amazing. What an amazing story and journey as well. And like you
Yeah.
said, the experience of 8 years in Australia must have been
No,
fantastic.
it's very, yeah, and it's great to see other places and go other places. I do think I'll one day end up back in Ireland again, but not quite yet.
Yeah. Is your family over in Ireland still? Or?
Yeah, family are still over in Ireland, but I think getting, I suppose, some of the experience of the different countries, I think, has definitely helped my career. And definitely helped just on the different cultures you meet over there as well, like, and in the UK, London, like, let's face it, it's huge. It's got so much opportunity as well, even compared to where I might be from. So yeah, it's like, take it while you can, definitely, and build up all of your experience while you can. Do it. That's what I'm trying to do.
I mean, I think that, yeah, you're like, you get so many multicultural people at any event. So the fact that you've traveled a bit as well has given you that bit of experience, and you must meet so many different people. And it's, yeah.
Definitely. And it's different cultures even on how they work. And you wouldn't think maybe in different countries, that people work differently, or, they'd have different priorities. I've also worked in, like, not-for-profit and corporate spaces as well, which have very different working environments. But I think it all helps shape you.
Yeah.
What you're doing.
So what do you think's then been your biggest challenge in your career?
My biggest challenge. I do think COVID's not been easy, obviously, in the career at the moment. We had to pivot a lot of our plans. As you can imagine, when it's events and experience, it really does involve, going out there and creating an actual experience, a real life experience. So that was the last year. Obviously, it's a big change, and we had to pivot quite a few of our plans. We turned a little bit more to some virtual events as well, and partnering with some of our partners. So that was completely new to all of us, because it was, through this lens and through different technology and things like that. But, working with some of our partners that were doing it as well, it was amazing, because we still managed to, make sure our brands were front and center and drive that awareness of our brands, and kind of still engage with people in a way, but through a different, medium, maybe not physical, but, through a virtual medium, which is quite interesting and new. And it's a new way things are. It's not going to be the end of completely virtual events. People are dying to get out there and go to physical events, but the idea of people also enjoying them at home is really important, and making sure like we did a lot of work on how do we bring experience to life at home and get people to really enjoy that, not just by looking at, but is there like, gift boxes we can send so they can really create their own experience at home as well, which was really important, really interesting.
Yeah, a lot of that was sort of happening, wasn't it? Like virtual events
Mm.
where people were sending gift boxes to people and
Yes.
doing things
It's like
online.
I suppose any little treat you can add to,
Yeah,
make everyone's week a little bit more interesting, a little bit more fun, I
yeah,
think is really important over the last year.
absolutely. And what do you think then's been, or what do you find most rewarding about your job?
I think, as I said, I do think it's when the event comes to life on that day, or in say one of the events I worked on in Australia, what we'd call is a bump in period. So it's when they start building the events or the stages or the different, like the carnival area, whatever, and it can take 6 to 8 weeks, so it's happening non-stop throughout. But I think it's when the events actually come to life and people are there and they're enjoying them. I'm not going to say when the event's over, but when it's got that period where it's just in its flow
Yeah,
and you can also enjoy it. I think that's definitely probably one of the most rewarding parts. I think
must be.
everyone loves that, even my team, everyone. You get like a little bit of a buzz when you're like, it's all happened now, it's come to life, definitely.
I was just going to say that must be a buzz. You must be on a
Yeah.
high
Yeah.
roller coaster of emotions. Then it all comes together, and it's like,
And then it's over and you're like, okay, on to the next one.
yeah. And so, what does your future hold then for your career?
So as I said, I'm working like, so it's, I work within a marketing team. So, events and experience within the marketing team. I think as a business, we've started to develop some, huge partnerships with the likes of British Summertime and, some others. So I do think staying within Asahi definitely. And I do think, you know, the events industry, it's going to regrow again. I love the idea of like sponsorship and partnership side of it as well, because we do quite a bit of work on that. I think it's really interesting. I think as brands kind of come together to drive awareness, I think, leverage each other, I think is really interesting. So that's definitely something I probably want to get a bit further into, and probably one day end up back in Ireland. You never
Yeah,
know. And see how it goes back there. But yeah, I think like it's important, I suppose. I'd like to get a bit of breadth of experience in all the marketing areas, and continue that development.
fantastic. And I mean, it must be, like you say, quite a stressful job, especially when the events are building. Do you have anything that helps you sort of deal with those stresses and pressures? Any hobbies or anything like that?
Yeah, I think getting away, I suppose, from your computer screen and things like that, it's just so important. Turning off, just I like simple things. All I do, it's not like I've mad hobbies or anything like that. It's just go to the gym, go out for a walk, enjoy a meal out, things like that to get away, and switch off. Because I do genuinely, like, you do enjoy your job as well, but it's important to switch off when you need to. Definitely.
And again, going back to sort of when events are building, I bet you're putting in more hours than you realise, and it's
Yeah, we do. It, I suppose you get this period where when it's going to get really, really long hours and a bit tougher, because it's definitely not always a 9 to 5. And that's the thing. Like, sometimes in the build up to an event, you'll be working, weekends, you'll be working really late in the evening. But there'll be hopefully a little bit of a lull that you can, grab that time back after the event is over as well. But it's definitely not your typical, I'm going into the office every day on my computer from 9 to 5, and that's Monday to Friday. But you have your events planners. It goes up and down. You know what's coming. Hopefully, you know what's coming.
yeah,
So at least you can plan in advance. And I think the one thing, I suppose, everything you're doing when it comes to events and experience, it's really project management. And that's the most important part of it. So it's like having that level of like organization to know planning ahead. That's what it's all about. I think that it could be utilized in any sort of job, but it's really just all about the project management of it all.
yeah, definitely. Must have to be super organised.
Yeah.
And so, finally, then, have you got any advice for any school age students just about to make their choices or just about to go out into the working world?
Yeah, I think I mentioned this before. Like, it's hard always to know when you're, a bit younger, going out exactly what you want to do. I think that what I found really, also a lot of places you might apply for jobs and they kind of look for experience and things like that. So I would recommend potentially, you know, looking at the places you are interested in, and you may not get the perfect job you want straight away. But like I said, I started working as a receptionist in a firm that I really, really quite liked, and I saw what they did. So you might get another role and, you know, get your foot in the door and then work your way up, which I think is really important. The first role may not be your last role, you see, and it does constantly evolve and change. So I definitely recommend that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. That's great bits of advice, and I've really enjoyed talking to you and hearing about your exciting job you have. So thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks a million. Really enjoyed it.